So, I thought I should just update you on this.
Okay.
Izolo was the 10th of October. As you
Zandy
know,
Dabula,
that South African Human Rights Commission summoned us
leader
to
of
court,
Operation
and we went
Dudula.
to court. And after court, we then decided with some patriots, let's go and support Bafana Bafana because
And
there was a soccer match between Zimbabwe and South Africa in Moses Mabhida Stadium. And we went, and I must say, I sat there and I observed the attitude of South Africans towards foreigners.
Time
Guys,
bomb.
we are
From
sitting
where?
on a time-ticking bomb. Now, it even went to a point where South Africans were like, "Asifuna ukuhlala nani, hambani niyohlala." Now, this was because of the attitude, the arrogance. Some Zimbabweans badelela, guys. And South Africans are like, not here. That was the attitude that I've observed is all. South Africans are hurtful. And, if government is not going to do anything about this
What has this got to do
immigration
with
crisis
football?
we are facing as a country,
Wow.
we are on a time-ticking bomb. It's going to explode anytime soon. And I don't think government is ready for that. But I thought, let me just share my experiences. Since I was with the masses, a stadium, and I sat there and I observed.
So the leader of Operation Dudula, Zandy Dabula, is now under fire. I mean, she's been fired left, right, center, front for making, according to people, a terrible remark about football. Now, if you know Zandy Dabula, she's the leader of Operation Dudula, and they are pushing foreigners out of South Africa, out of which she's now done with kicking foreigners out of their hospitals, their healthcare system, and now their schools. And now it looks like she's bringing it to football. So, according to her, on 10th October, after the massive delivery where Operation Dudula won against the Human Rights Commission, she went to the sports stadium to go and watch football. And in the stadium, she observed some attitude of the Zimbabweans. And she thought and she felt that South Africans were not very happy with the attitude of the Zimbabweans, what they were putting on and what they were showing. And she thinks that the government should do something about it. And I was thinking, I was like, the government should do something about what?
And after court, we then decided with some patriots, let's go and support Bafana Bafana because there was a soccer match between Zimbabwe and South Africa in Moses Mabhida Stadium. And we went, and I must say, I sat there and I observed the attitude of South Africans towards foreigners. Guys, we are sitting on a time-ticking bomb. Now, it even went to a point where South Africans were like, "Asifuna ukuhlala nani, hambani niyohlala." Now, this was because of the attitude, the arrogance. Some Zimbabweans badelela, guys. And South Africans are like, not here. That was the attitude that I've observed is all. South Africans are hurtful. And, if government is not going to do anything about this immigration crisis we are facing as a country, we are on a time-ticking bomb. It's going to explode anytime soon. And I don't think government is ready for that.
So if somebody goes to watch football and decides to put up any attitude, did you pay the ticket for the person? So how does the behavior of people in the sports stadium cause for? I don't get it. But it looks as if I'm not the only person who didn't understand or get this. South Africans are very angry, and even people and even the Zimbabweans, they are also very angry. And on social media, they've given it to Zandy Dabula back to back. I am thinking that some of them are thinking Zandy Dabula will be coming to the sports stadium after she's done with the health sector and South African schools. She will start chasing foreigners out of the football club. People may be thinking like that. I'm just thinking. So now people are firing her left, right, center, front, asking her to keep mute. What does she know about football? I won't waste your time. Let's go and listen to what people are saying.
Good morning. I just want to respond to Zandile. I was at the stadium. There were some South Africans sitting with Zimbabweans without any problems. Even after the match, we greeted each other. So like, my sister, you need to stop lying. I don't know why you hate us so much. Maybe that story, we were told that you had a kid with Zimbabweans or you are from Zimbabwe. Oh, it sounds like it's true now. You need to stop lying. Why you hate us so much?
Zandile's recent attendance at the soccer game between South Africa and Zimbabwe reveals once again the depth of a misplaced obsession with stoking division among Africans. For someone who has shown little or no interest in sports, her sudden enthusiasm for football seemed suspiciously selective. Sparked only because the match involved Zimbabweans, a people she has made a career out of vilifying. What should have been a day of continental unity and joy, with fans from both nations singing, laughing, and cheering together, became for her yet another opportunity to spread bitterness and resentment. While television coverage and social media were flooded with images of South Africans and Zimbabweans sitting side by side, wrapped in their nation's flags and exchanging smiles, Zandile saw only hate. She claimed that South African fans moved away from Zimbabwean fans or their Zimbabwean counterparts out of disdain. A claim both false and revealing. It shows that her perception is not guided by truth but by a deep-seated desire to confirm her own prejudices. Her world is so consumed by hatred that even scenes of fellowship and unity are twisted into evidence of division. What Zandile fails to understand is that rivalry in football is not a sign of hatred. It's part of the game's very spirit. Rivalry creates excitement, competition, and identity for fans, but they rarely cross into true enmity. Take for example the long-standing rivalry between Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs supporters. These fans often exchange chants, tease each other, and even argue passionately. Yet, once the final whistle blows, they walk home together, share drinks, and return to being family and friends. The rivalry is symbolic, not hostile. It represents sporting pride, not hatred. But for Zandile, whose lens is clouded by animosity, even this healthy spirit of competition becomes evidence of division. She confuses rivalry with racism and passion with prejudice, exposing just how far removed from reality her worldview has become. This behavior is not only unbecoming of someone who calls herself a leader, but also profoundly dangerous. South Africa is grappling with unemployment, corruption, crumbling infrastructure, and a political class that has failed its people time and time again. Yet, instead of directing public anger and frustration towards those truly responsible, Zandile has chosen to scapegoat African migrants, particularly Zimbabweans, who share closer ancestral and cultural ties with South Africans than perhaps any other group on the continent. Her rhetoric distracts ordinary South Africans from confronting systemic failure and keeps them locked in circles of resentment against their own brothers and sisters. In doing so, she becomes not a leader but a manipulator, trading truth for populism and compassion for hate. What makes Zandile's conduct even more hypocritical is that she likely identifies as a Christian, a faith whose cornerstone is built on love, mercy, and neighborliness. Yet her words and actions stand in direct contrast to the parable of the Good Samaritan. A story that calls on believers to show kindness even to those they are thought to despise. To harbor such hatred for fellow Africans while claiming moral and spiritual authority is a height of contradiction. Ultimately, Zandile's crusade will not uplift South Africans, nor will it solve the problems she pretends to care about. Hatred has a way of devouring those who nurture it. If she continues on this path of division and hostility, the fire she is stoking against others will one day consume her, and by then it may be too late to rebuild the bridges she has burned. I come in peace.
Lo mbuzo bengibuzile bafethu ukuthi la bantu aba-against lo la bantu abangafuni lo ama-South Africans na yabo, so lo uyangiphendula-ke uthi yebo ama-South Africans, but ama-South Africans afundile yabo. So okuchaza ukuthi abantu abasupporta lo abasapota lo abasapota iDudula abantu abadomo abafundanga nje shuthi nonke nini nisapota nje iDudula uthi uTK nidomo anifundanga so mfethu mina ngifisa ukwazi ukuthi niyavumelana yini noTK ukuthi abantu abasapota iDudula abantu abangafundanga.
Hi, dear Zandile, Mrs. or Miss or Mnomzana or Dr. Angazi bazokubiza. Wena Zandile kahle unenkinga namaZimbabweans, unenkinga eserious gabi ngamaZimbabweans. But let's come to the fact. Just tell me something. Do you only recognize Zimbabweans as foreigners in South Africa? Secondly, please, can you show us? Don't use your stinky, dirty mouth saying South Africans, they were hurtful, or South Africans, they even said that. Can you show us a clip of a video where the South Africans, they were saying they're hurtful about Zimbabwe? Since you were there at the stadium to predict what is happening, you were not there to watch football. You didn't go there to watch football. Can you show the world and show FIFA the video where South Africans, they were saying they're hurtful about Zimbabweans? You've got a really problem. I think I'm not sure whether your medulla oblongata is functioning very well. I don't even know, because you're problematic with Zimbabweans. It has gone to an extra length that you yourself, as a black African woman, you only recognize Zimbabwean in this world as a foreigner in South Africa. You know what? Bathi ngesizulu zidla belindile. Uyabona lento oyenzayo sis, maybe mhlambe ayikufanelanga ungakhathali ende ungadina bengabe bekupraise manje ukukhukhumala uphakamisa amahlombe sisi wenza yonke into oyenzayo. Ube careful. Politics and footballs, these are two different things. Do not ever try and ruin the careers of the fathers who are providing for their families, okay? Because you've got anger against the Zimbabweans, my dear. Why when uthi usufika e-stadium, why ungazange uthi like isicela ukuthi ama Zimbabweans ke angene ngama ID or angene ngantontoni? Buyeleni vele stadium azisisa ngifuna uqamba amanga ungcolile umdaka ubolile.
So after watching this, what is your own observation of what Zandy Dabula said about Bafana and the team in the sports stadium? Do you think she's trying to expand her reign from health and schools to the football sector, or you think she's only displaying her ignorance? Leave your comment in the comment section.